What did Sylvester call us at this stage of the game?
Smiling zombies. Are you also smiling zombies? Okay.
Should we check the auction thing? Do that? Yesterday there wasn't enough time for us to auction off, or try to auction off, a couple of things that Mira and I brought. Both of us brought a script. Where are the scripts? Are they back there? The white one is a script from the first season signed by me, from an episode called TKO, which cannot even be seen in its entirety in Great Britain because it's of some of the violent kickboxing in it. The blue script, Mira can describe.
It's a script from the second season, Acts of Sacrifice is the name of the script, and it's signed by everybody. But all the actors, including Jason Carter, our new regular, who appears only on the third season, but he also gave me his signature. So yeah, I don't know. We didn't have enough time, but I think you are maybe you may not be prepared for that kind of thing. 400. What about 400? 400? Okay. What's the next number? Michael, help me.
425.
Okay, 425.
Who give us 425?
500.
All right.
Wow.
We got one for 500.
500.
Anybody?
What, 510?
She's running over to show it to somebody.
Faster, faster.
Debbie is a word count.
Right? Oh, well, I have to show her that. It's out of her range.
500. Who'll do 525? Who'll raise the bid a little bit higher?
I'll jump up and down if it helps.
525. Come on. I'll sign it. I'll sign it or I won't sign it as an added bonus. 525.
I think 500 is.
Is 500 the top?
500. 500. How do you say? 500 one time?
Anybody going above 500? Except
525.
525.
Oh, no, it's over. That's right. Yeah. I have to check.
525.
600.
600. Wow. 600.
600.
Anything above 600?
Anybody want to go above 600?
625.
625. Come on, you want it. It's for Make-A-Wish. 625. You want to raise that bid?
Running out of steam here. 700.
700. That's great for Make-A-Wish. That's wonderful.
700.
700. Anybody want to raise the bid on 700? 725.
I'm coming, I'll get there.
800. $825. Go for it. Debbie's getting some great exercise.
There is yellow highlighter in that section.
1,200.
$1,200. Boy, my crummy little script didn't do this good. It's okay, it's all for a good cause. What? He's out? Anybody else? Somebody who hasn't been raised. Okay, $1,200 going once. $1,200 going twice. Sold again to the lovely lady in the back. That's great for Make-A-Wish.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We'll take a picture with you.
Do you have a camera there?
Yeah, right.
Why don't you come on up right now and we'll take a picture with
I
you.
think the winners should get up there too.
Maybe.
Has come.
I'm just exhausted.
Mary, you mentioned that the script that you weren't in that episode. When there's an episode that a character is not in, do you guys get the week off, or are you doing something else for another episode, or what happens?
We get a week off. That's great. Yeah, there were a couple of them where I wasn't in. It's nice to have a week off, as you all know. It's a valuable time.
I know you probably shouldn't, but are there any hints you guys can drop on the impending two-parter in which you, Michael, make an appearance?
I'm not privy to any of the information about it. I would make a guess, and I would guess that Babylon Squared has something to do with it. But that's just a guess. I sincerely don't know. That's all up in Joe's cranium up there. And he's working on it right now, so I really don't know.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. We can only guess. And we are always surprised
Right.
when we get new scripts. What else?
Mira, I was just wondering, I know you're not planning on going back to your homeland, but were you planning to get an American citizenship?
Yeah, I'm planning on that. That's right. Yeah. It's not a very good thing to have a passport from a country that no longer exists. You know?
You know, in the upcoming episodes, will you more find out about the conspiracy of light, and what was this, have you seen a point where his reaction has gone to knowing that he was in fighting shadows and that these people were not really, haven't really been helped by the conspiracy just yet?
It's a very, you are guessing, you are on the right path. Now, that will be resolved just in the next episode, actually, that I'm shooting. There's a great conversation between Jakar and Delenn about that. You know, why didn't he know? And what happened because of that and so on. I have to be careful always. I never know how much
I don't want to know what happened.
But yeah, I know that you don't. Yeah, it will be resolved.
You mentioned that you don't always work and you sometimes have time off. What do both of you do when you say have a week off and you're not, on call for the show?
What do I do? I'm trying to go to nature as much as I can, and I love Los Angeles. That's the best part of living in Los Angeles. The wilderness and the wild nature and a lot of hiking and ocean and all those things are so near. They're actually a part of that city. So that's the most beautiful part of living there. So I'm trying to use that. And of course, the unbeatable weather, the eternal sunshine. So I'm trying to go to mountains and to the beach and to the ocean and see pelicans and enjoy the animals and the plants. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to travel as much as I can.
Well, I've had an awful lot of time to look at nature. Right now what I do is I go on auditions for work. But when I was shooting the show, I didn't really have much free time at all. The nature of the commander's part was that it was only one episode. It was really only one episode in which I didn't do much at all. Just gave a look or something. But so in the first season I had no free time really. So I didn't have that particular problem. The way, if I can say this, the way Mira's job was set up is she did 13 episodes in the first season, but then did 22, and in the second season it is doing 22 in the third season. So it was a little bit different work schedule.
It was a very different experience, with a lot of free time, actually. Sometimes it got really strange, I knew that I was working, but it felt as if I'm not working. So that created that very strange feeling.
I'm a new fan. I want to know one thing. The guys, they have a goofy thing on them. And sometimes they get centaur. Are we ever going to find out what they really look like?
Well, they really look like that. What do you mean, what they really look like? That's how they look.
No, not the other guys.
You mean Kosh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you didn't see the closing episode of the last season where it was
No, I just
discussed.
started watching this season.
Well, I'm very sorry. You have to borrow that one. It's a good one. It's a very, very good one.
Will they ever come back?
Visually very interesting. And so.
Or will they come out and tape like the Star Trek and all that eventually?
I hope so. I think so. Yeah, they will. Well, I don't know about that. On laser, you said? Okay. Yeah, some of these ladies had questions.
Just one thing about the coming out
Yes.
video, there's no plans for Warner Brothers to release them in the U.S. yet. Actually, there's sort of a writing campaign going on about that.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Because I know that they have been released in England. I know that, yeah.
I just had a quick question. I just started watching, my mom asked the question, and I understand that Spike Waddell from Chicago here from Virginia Radio was on the first season premiere. I was wondering, did you guys get a chance to work with him? And
I didn't. No, I didn't.
I have a question for both of you, on a different line of what the question has been. How would your closest friend describe you?
Cheap, pernicious, obscene little son of a... No, I can see how I would hope my closest friend would describe me. Loyal, sensitive. Reasonably intelligent. That's how I would hope I would be described.
This is such a tough
That's
question.
just, who wants, I just painted a nice picture of myself, you know, left out all my flaws.
I know. I mean, it's hard. Well, you should ask our best friends to describe us. I think. For example, my husband now. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, you know, friends can be nasty towards you.
Yeah, now I feel pompous having said all that stuff. You know, that's how I would hope I could describe.
Yeah.
I've fallen short many times, to be sure.
Yeah, I can't answer that question actually. Because it only reflects, it never reflects what other people think. You don't know that, and you can never be sure of that. It only reflects what you would like them to see in you.
Right.
So you are describing your hopes and ambitions. I mean, and I guess we all want to be, you know, honest and truthful. Maybe not all of us, but I think you want to be, and I want to be.
Right.
So, but who knows if we really are.
Right. Wish I had to answer that.
Hi, I have a question. This is for both of you, Michael and Mary. Do you, I realize you get your scripts with not a lot of lead time, but do you have any latitude in the writing in change parts? And also, do you try to put your own feelings and your own personalities into the characters?
From time to time, I go to Joe and try to change some things that are unclear, or that when I have an idea how to change it, I always talk to him, and he's always open to all the suggestions. I think he definitely is inspired by who we are and how we are, and what kind of personalities we are as actors. And I think Joe really, and that's the part that I enjoy the most. I really feel that he is writing for me, you know, inspired by what I do, and he's following it's like a circle. I do something, then he sees it and feels it and writes something in that direction, and then it's kind of a joint effort. It definitely is, and he that openness to our suggestions, and his willingness to be inspired by what we do is very great. What was your experience?
Well, in the first season, I had a goal to say every single word that the writer wrote. A lot of times what happens in episodic television is not the creative symbiosis that goes on between Joe and Mira that Mira described, but there are a lot of changing of dialogue. There's a lot of changing of dialogue. You're working very fast. You're shooting 7 days an episode, and there's a lot of paraphrasing that goes on or rewriting on the set. And I had a particular goal to be as true to the writer as possible. So I would say, without exaggerating, I said all but 10 words as exactly as he had written. That's not an exaggeration. Because I wanted to stay true to his vision. We were just coming out of the shoot, just beginning the show and all of that. Although when I had questions, I talked to him about it. But never change it on my own.
That's not really a good thing with Joe.
Not Joe's style.
I have a question for each of you. Ms. Furlan, I want to say first of all that you portray your character fantastically. I was familiar with your accent, though. I actually thought it was something you made up for the show, kind of like Marina Sirtis does. What country are you from?
I'm the former Yugoslavia.
Oh, okay. All right. Great. Now, my question is about when you were asked to not be on the show anymore. This created now a kind of a strange relationship with you now going to conventions, being a sort of ambassador to the fans and things like that, and making appearances every now and then on the show. This is a kind of a strange relationship. Are you completely comfortable with that relationship? Or do you find yourself sometimes cursing the producer?
Oh, no. It was a very amicable party. And it went very well, and I still feel very close to Joe. So, there's no, these things happen in our line of work all the time. There's no strained feeling at all. It's been edifying to me to see the degree in which my popularity has maintained itself, even though I'm not on the show a lot. So, I've been very grateful for the support of the fans, but it hasn't been an uncomfortable situation, in the sense that I think you mean. Okay.
I have a question here on the card. This question is for Mira. Is Ambassador Delenn going to fall in love with the captain on Babylon 5? If so, what about Commander Sinclair?
Yeah.
He's so judgmental. Leave me my freedom.
Oh, free love. The old free love argument, huh? Come on, we've heard that before, fellas. Come on. The old free love argument.
Oh, I don't know. It's been a constant question, and I hope it will all get resolved in the two-parter that we're going to shoot, Michael. And so I won't be judged so harshly.
You give me the heat pump.
I don't know.
Jeff, you've done a great job with the Rangers. You've really helped fight the Shadow Men, but since I got a head of hair, I don't love you anymore.
I'll probably explain it by some higher goals.
Yes.
You know me.
I have a question on card here, and it's for Mira. And the person is asking, how did your religious upbringing help you with the religious aspect of Delenn, with the role of Delenn?
I didn't really have a religious upbringing, so for me, religion is a private thing, you know, and it's a very private and intimate thing that you do on your own. That's how I see it and feel about it. So in that way, I'm just understanding the lens, religiousness, if there is any such thing. I mean, there is, but in a very different sense than an organized religion. So I just rely on my instincts for that, something like that.
I have a question for Mr. O'Hara, which is, what will after
Where are you?
right here?
Oh, excuse me.
After the two-part episode you're going to be in this season, will you have any continued involvement in the show?
I'm not privy to that. I really don't know how it's going to work out. Sorry, I don't know more.
Is there anybody who should we send letters to?
I would guess you'd send letters to Joe Straczynski or to Warner's.
I have a question here on a card. This is for both Mira and Michael. Who had the most influence on you as you were growing up, and why was this person important to you?
I would say my father had the most influence on me when I was growing up. And it was important to me, and my mother as well. My mother and father. And it was because they were very loving and supportive parents. And as I've grown up in life, I realized how much they really did do for me. So that would be the reason that they were the most influential. They were the ones that paid the most attention to me and cared most about me. So I would say my mother and father.
I would say my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother was a very interesting woman. And she was a scholar, she was a linguist, and she, at the time when women in Europe didn't do much in that way, she made her PhD at Sorbonne in Paris, and she taught me about languages, and she really influenced me in that way. How to think about languages, how to grasp a system in which a language works, which is now of an extreme importance for my life. Because without being able to speak this language, I wouldn't be here. So I'm grateful to her for many things, for her love and care and so on, but also for that, for the intellectual basis of whatever I know or whatever I think. And my mother was a librarian whose specialty were children's books, so she brought me that love for literature and for words and for thoughts, and I was lucky to have. My father was a psychologist. I mean, those are good influences. I would say my family also. I had a teacher in high school, an art history teacher, who made a great influence on me. These are the main people. My husband is the main influence and the main focus, and so that's the main thing.
I've got a question. How much interaction have you had with Harlan Ellison, who's the kind of the assistant, or as Joe has described him, the free-floating agent of darkness for the show?
He just last week he sent me a cake, a key lime pie from Alaska. That was just incredibly sweet. That was my interaction with him. Very strange. What about you, Michael?
Well, I've visited with Harlan a little bit, hung out with him a little bit. I like him quite a bit. I had been so ignorant of science fiction before meeting Harlan, I didn't know who the hell Harlan was. So it was good in a way, because I liked Harlan for Harlan. And he struck me as a very outspoken. Say anything so, Joe, say anything so. But very honest, very truthful, very straightforward, with a high code of behavior concerning what's decent behavior in life. So I found him, to me, he's kind of the fighter pilot of writers. So I like Harlan as a regular guy who I know. So
He's fascinating.
Yeah.
The brightness, the quickness of his brain. To talk to him is really like bullets of thoughts come to you, and it's really amazing.
And the character of the guy, he's a stand-up guy, which I think gets him in trouble sometimes, I gather, because I've learned in retrospect, you know what I mean, that Harlan is a controversial figure. There are those who take great umbrage with him and all of that stuff. But, and there are many more who are very taken with his talent as a writer. But just as a human being, I get a real kick out of Harlan. In fact, he's got a fighter squadron baseball cap from my brother's fighter's club. And it suits him.
I'll read one. Let's see here. I'll try to read
one. Have you seen any of the British programs represented here at Visions? And how have you enjoyed meeting your British counterparts?
Well, I've seen a little bit of Doctor Who, which I enjoy, and a little bit of Red Dwarf. I've never seen Blake 7, although it sounds like an interesting show to be sure. I think I've seen a little bit of Robin Hood. And I've enjoyed meeting our English counterparts very much. They've been lovely people, very talented, as you saw on the variety show last night. And they're great, fun people. They really are full of, we can generalize about a group of people who happen to be from Great Britain, but they seem to be full of a great verve and fun for life, joy for life. So I've enjoyed meeting them very much. They've been very friendly and very talented.
It's wonderful to meet them and to sometimes, it was wonderful for me to be reminded of the theater as the core of your work, which is possible only in Europe, which doesn't exist here. People who go from play to play and just have the continuity in their work, which is incredibly important. Build something. You build on top of what you've done and go further, which experience I had when I worked in the former Yugoslavia, as far as theater is concerned, which almost no one has here in this country.
It's very frustrating as an actor in this country that you really can't make a living in the theater.
It's just such a huge, it's so huge. I think it's because of the
size of the country might affect it,
So that's what I was impressed. I mean, just reminded of that and kind of felt this envy, towards that warm. Although it's not so warm, when you live inside it. But anyway, that's something to envy. In a good sense, of course. They were lovely. Unfortunately, I've never seen any of those shows. I'm really embarrassed to say that, but these shows never came to my country. I don't know, I think I mentioned that the only show that we watched, the only science fiction show was Lost in Space. When I was a kid. That's so weird. I mean, it's so strange. I'll never understand why something came to us and other things didn't. Because I was familiar with some very, very strange shows from America, which, maybe you don't even know, but I know them. I don't know. you know those shows, like Bonanza. Bonanza was...
Everybody here knows Bonanza.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What about Long Hot Summer with Roy Dennis? That was huge, huge. My mother loved it. I mean, like the female population of the whole country adored that actor. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I hadn't heard of that series.
Well, yeah, it was like a huge thing. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, because two different questions to both of you. Michael, having worked on a science fiction program already in the past, would you consider doing another one?
Sure.
And Mira, currently on Babylon 5, in a lot of sci-fi magazines, there's always comparisons between Star Trek and Next Generation, and saying how Babylon 5 works off Deep Space Nine, and it's not as good as the other two. Obviously, a lot of people look at it as being a brand new show, and it's totally different from the other two. How do you feel about this?
I don't think about that. I have never read that, actually. I hear that it's happening, I mean, these comparisons and this feeling of competition and so on. I said that in another panel. I mean, that kind of thinking can drive you crazy. In every dimension of your life, you can always compare yourself to the bigger one and feel, small and unworthy and so on, but why do it? I think every show has its own space, and I think Babylon, I really think, I think I have a certain degree of objectivity, although probably I don't, but I hope I have. I really do think that Babylon 5 is different in many ways. So I think it has a life of its own, and it has to be compared to itself, not to the other ones. Any other questions for us? I think we are all tired. It seems so. Are you tired? I know, the smiles have faded. I know. We all kind of going in our sleep.
Let's all put our heads down and take 10-minute nap.
There was a television show, an interview program that always ended with a series of questions, one of which was, if there is a heaven, what would you like God to say when you got there? I couldn't think of anything else now.
Well, thank you for that question.
Well, I'd like God to say, thank God you didn't mess up the whole thing over here. You just squeaked by. We're going to let you in on a gimme. You just made it.
I would like him to say, your life is just beginning.
Yeah, that's actually
And you'll be a child again.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
My question's for Mira. Maybe you already asked you this because I came in a little late, but have you had any offers to do other American shows now that you've been here, like on your hiatus and stuff?
I did a TV movie called My Antonia during the last hiatus, and during the, not this summer, but the last hiatus. During this hiatus, I went to London and did a series, a short run of that production, Don Juan in Hell, which I do from time to time with René Auberjonois and Ed Asner and Harris Ewing, so that's what I was doing. You mean like scripts flying to me, like heaps of scripts on my table? No, that's not happening. Our agents and managers call me. Yeah, it's, as we said, it's a huge country. There are so many shows, so many actors. It's a tough thing. And I know you agree.
Yes, I agree.
I have a question for both of you. Given that so much of the plot of Babylon 5 is built in, crosses from show to show, did you all ever have any scenes sent down when you first read the script that you said, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever?
I never had that experience. Not a very interesting answer I have for you, but I never had that experience. That didn't make any sense whatsoever. Joe's created a pretty airtight universe, so there is a fair amount of logic, and he's very strong on plot as a writer. So usually plot made a fair amount of sense. That was my experience.
I had a couple of moments of doubt in what was, written for me. For example, the episode where Dylan has a bad hair day. When I read it, I really had a problem with that, and went to Joe and went to Peter David, who wrote that particular episode, and protested and said, no, the old thing that actors do, Dylan would never do that. But I mean, then somehow they persuaded me that I should open my mind a little bit and try to find another side of Dylan, which I did. And I remember that Peter David said to me, I was theorizing, I came with all kinds of reasons for them to change it. And Peter David said to me, oh, just forget about it. Everybody will love it, and it will be everybody's favorite scene. And it's really true. I mean, people really connected with that thing because it was so close to reality, I think. Because Dylan had this whole mysterious thing, and she was always so, it was, this whole aura of mystery, and we don't really know what she thinks and who she is. All at once, she's showing a very human side of her, a funny side of her, and just, I think it worked well, and I'm actually happy that I succeeded in opening myself to it. So that was, that's an example how you reject something, but then you kind of try it and it works, and that's always good. No more questions?
These two will be last.
Okay.
Mira, I was just wondering, you said that you grew up in Lost in Space. How has that affected your working relationship with the movie?
Oh, I don't know, it's been a long time since Lost in Space, and I see him as a totally, I don't think too much about him in Lost in Space when I communicate with him. So, he's my friend, and he's great, and I love working with him. Hearing his tapes, he always makes those tapes for us in the makeup trailer, because we spend so much time in the makeup trailer. So he makes tapes that are called Minbari morning music. His own mixes of music. The last tape had the title on the cover, which was, Are We Really Waking Up at 4? At 4 a.m. So that's what we are doing. Because as you know, Billy is a great music lover, and he's a musician himself and has a band, and he always has the newest stuff, and we always get everything before it's even released, and we are completely cool with our makeup trailer, our alien makeup trailer, cool towards music. There's some noise, there are all kinds of things happening. What's that? Oh.
The gentleman in the back.
And I hope you don't think this is too strange a request. I have a friend back home. She likes to collect birthdays of people who are in science fiction, TV, and film. So this is for her. I'm asking when your birthdays are. You don't have to give me the year, just the month and the day.
I wouldn't have. Okay, my birthday is the 7th of September. And I'm a Virgo.
And my birthday is May 6th. And I'm a Taurus. Well, I guess that's the last question, right? Thank you.